Hey guys, it's Kati. Welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be all about mealworm farming. Some of you probably farm your own or have heard about farming and this might not interest you at all. But for those of you who have never really looked into it but are really interested in farming your own mealworms for birds, geckos, turtles, whatever that you have as a pet that eats mealworms. So obviously, you know, we have chickens and ducks, and our chickens and ducks love mealworms just like any other chicken and duck. And you know, buying mealworms can get pricey, especially if you've got over 10 chickens and they could eat hundreds of mealworms at a time. So what me and Kyle decided to do was go to Petco, go get some live mealworms from their little live mealworm section and just start our own farm. So we did that 2 years ago now, and our farm is over 2 years old. We haven't had to replenish it with any new mealworms in over 2 years, and I've fed our birds thousands upon thousands of mealworms from this farm. Actually, two of our chickens who have now passed away but were so sick at one point, I completely healed both of them just by feeding them like a super heavy mealworm diet. And I don't know what it is in them, if it's the nutrients or them just being a really good source of protein, but it really helps chickens who are you know, needing that extra protein to help put on some weight or whatever it may be. So anywho, I'm going to stop talking now and I'm going to show you guys my mealworm farm. And I'm just going to give you some basic information on how to start it, care for it, some maintenance tips, all that good stuff. And next time when I actually have to clean out the tank, I will film a whole nother video showing you guys exactly how I clean out the tank and all of that good stuff to keep your farm healthy and, you know, keep the life cycles going. So without further ado, let me show you guys my mealworm farm. So this is my front mud room. You know, this is my front door, but this is the actual other front door. So I have this cute little mud room in here, and this is where I keep the mealworms. I decided to keep them in here because it stays pretty temperature regulated in here. It's never too hot, it's never too cold, so that's really good for them because when it gets really cold outside, they stop producing quickly, so it'll take them a long time to go from mealworm to pupa to beetle state. So the warmer it is, the faster their life cycle will go. And so that's why I decided to keep them in here. And then obviously if it gets way too hot, they'll end up dying because it's just too hot. So in this room, it stays pretty cool in the summer as well. And I keep them in this fish tank. It used to just be clear, but we spray painted it green just to kind of keep some of the sun out of it because direct sun's not good for them either. This is the inside. For bedding, you can use whatever you want. I've found that using oats like this, just old-fashioned dried oats, you can get like a huge canister for like $1.50 or something from the grocery store, something crazy cheap. And I usually get 2 canisters and I dump them inside of this fish tank, and that's kind of what the main food source that they eat. You can use chicken feed, but chicken feed does usually have some diatomaceous earth just mixed into the feed from the milling company. So I do suggest that if you do decide to use chicken feed, then oats, that you make sure it does not have diatomaceous earth, because obviously diatomaceous earth will kill your mealworms. So like I said, I like to use oats, and then I will put supplemental greens in there like this. This is obviously just celery, organic celery that I bought from the grocery store, and I just wash it off and then I put it in here and they love it. This is actually broccoli stalk, so I chopped off all the heads and we cooked it for dinner, and then I used the stalk for food for them. So anything that's green, that's kind of stalky, that carries moisture but not like a ton of moisture. I've noticed that cabbage leaves, they tend to mold things like you know, tomatoes or zucchini, anything that's soft like that is going to literally turn into mush and mold in your tank, and you will lose bugs because they'll end up getting entangled in all that mush and they can't get out and they end up dying. So you definitely stick to things like this that are more stocky, that do have moisture, but will end up just kind of drying up opposed to decomposing. Because like if you see, these are just kind of drying up instead of like turning to mush. Over a course of some time, they, you know, it's about a 5 to 6 month period, they will eat all of these oats, and eventually all you'll be left with is this stuff called frass. And I'll pick some up at the bottom. And it's this dark stuff right here. Let's see if I can focus on it better. So it's this dark stuff right here, and it's basically skin, poop, dead beetles, and all that stuff. And you've got to clean that out. You can't keep that in there because it's just not good for them, and eventually your farm will decrease. So what I like to do is I'll get a sieve, and I will get a ladle, and I'll just literally pick up, I'll ladle up a section like this. I'll put it in the sieve, and then I will shake the sieve until all there's left is the oats and the mealworms, and then all of the frass kind of falls into another container. But I like to wait till there's literally like no oats left. It's like complete frass, because it makes it easiest to sort that way, because when there's a lot of oats, it's almost impossible to sieve because there's just so much crap in the way. That's just what I've learned over the course of 2 years of raising them, that it's just easiest to let it kind of get really, really bad and then cleaning it out. So I cleaned it out about a week and a half ago, and already I've noticed such a huge increase in the size of the mealworms. Like I said, when there's a lot of frass, they don't grow because they have nothing really to eat. So, I mean, they don't really die off. Some of them do, obviously, but a lot of them will just kind of hang out and go dormant a little bit. So, I've just noticed in the week and a half that I've cleaned out their cage that the mealworms have grown so much. And yeah, there's a lot of dead beetles. You'll see that once they reproduce, they kind of die off. And what I like to do is I just go in there and I pick up these dead beetles with my hand, and I put them in a container, and then I feed them to my chickens. So I try to reuse all of everything that comes out of here, including the oats. When I feed it to them, I'll just literally pick up a handful like this, and I'll put it in a container, and I'll go outside and feed them all of it, because they love the oats, the chickens, and they love the mealworms, obviously. So and I try to actually pick out the pupas and the beetles when I do, just so, because they're the ones, obviously, that are past the mealworm stage who help reproduce the colony. So if I do scoop up some to feed the chickens, I do try to take out as many beetles and pupas as I can. When I do clean out the cage and I filter sometimes, I do like to keep the frass just for a couple of months afterwards to see if there's any babies in them, because sometimes there can be babies in the frass, and you'll literally lose thousands of babies that way. So sometimes I like to have 2 tanks going, but I actually did have 2 tanks going, but I just combined both of them when I cleaned it last week, because they both got to the point where they're 100% frass, so I could join them both once I, sieved out all of the mealworms and stuff. So yeah, if you guys have any questions or anything, just go ahead and leave them in the comment section. I will gladly answer them. Some stuff like this grosses people out. For me, it doesn't gross me out at all. I mean, bugs normally gross me out, but mealworms, for some reason, they just don't gross me out. Maybe I just look at it differently because I raise them, or maybe I look at it differently because they're a food for my chicken. Look at that little baby mealworm right there. I don't know, but they don't gross me out, and they don't fly, so it's easy to maintain. And, I enjoy having this for my chickens, and it's super easy. It's kind of a fun little activity if you've got kids, or you've got a class, or, anything like that where this type of thing would be fun for kids to experiment with. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and that you learned something today and that maybe it encourages you to start your own mealworm farm. If you did like this video, please do me a favor and give it a thumbs up. And also subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see updates on the mealworm farm, how I clean it, of course all my other chicken, duck, garden related videos, and then of course my makeup videos because that is a part of my channel as well. So if you'd like to be and you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to my channel for all that good stuff. And I will see you guys in my next video. Take care, guys.